I don't know if it's going to be on the agenda again, but I think it's going to be on the YouTube stream. You can always go take a peek at that. Ken, good morning. Chris, good morning. James and David is good. Awesome. Glad to hear it. YouTube folks will be joining us, I'm sure, in a second here. There's usually a delay. The Zoom folks get the first crack at it, and then the Facebook folks follow. So I don't know how it streams, why it streams. It's awesome. Tova, hey, how are you? Thanks for being here. We have Paul from very rural northeast Pennsylvania, covered in a half of inch of fluffy snow. Woo, already. No snow for me. Hans, good morning. Polly, good morning. Northeastern Pennsylvania. I've been to a place called Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, of all places. That was interesting. Ben, good morning. Simon, good morning. Talk of snow in Seattle. Well, you get enough rain, you might as well. All right, we're going to start on time here in a couple seconds. Sada is here from YouTube. Good morning. Hey, Jim is my neighbor, Greensboro, North Carolina. Well, I mean, not really my neighbor, but close enough for government work. I'm in Charlotte. Thomas, good morning. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate everybody coming today. Appreciate the thumbs up already. I haven't said one word. We got some thumbs up. That's awesome. It's the pre-trade banter is worth the price of admission. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. Official start. This will be the official start. Good morning. My name is Jim Cagnina. I'm the Senior Education and Training Specialist for the NinjaTrader platform. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are not new, welcome. Appreciate you being here. You know, we do these things Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Everybody's welcome to come whenever they can. Do want to remind everybody trading futures, options on futures involves substantial risk of loss, not suitable for all traders and investors. Oftentimes in futures trading, you have a high combination of leverage and volatility. Although that could be an equation for opportunity, it's also an equation for risk. Be careful and only fund your futures trading account with risk capital. My personal definition: money if I could afford to lose, doesn't change my lifestyle, doesn't lengthen my retirement horizon, doesn't overly stress me out. That third part's kind of important. Stress in life matters. Be in a good place. Don't overdo it with the risk capital. Don't overdo it with the day trade margins. My best advice. Any questions on that, type them in. We are on real-time simulated live mode using the real-time data feed with the NinjaTrader platform. Today, we have a good evening from Pakistan. Oops, Pakistan left. I retracted it. But anyway, welcome, and Anwar. Appreciate you being here. Theo from Chicago. K2 ICC from Syracuse, New York. Dan, good morning. Thanks for being here. So today we have, check out the volume stage. Volume's a little light, and the classic ES, 425,000, on the micros, 225,000. For that, we're still in the December contract here. I have the March contract up as well. We're still 10-to-1 ratio. This won't start to converge and take over the December contract until next Wednesday, Thursday. So we have some time. Sam, south of Asheville, we're almost neighbors. Asheville, North Carolina, beautiful place. So I'm thinking today, now there's a couple things going on. Tomorrow, keep in mind, Jim, good morning. Bando, good morning. You know, tomorrow is CPI, right? The monthly CPI release is coming out tomorrow. And I think there's a lot of anticipation over it, even though typically the projections for this particular release are pretty good, which means maybe the market will assimilate it already. However, there's still, I mean, this is one of the gauges of inflation, right? And this is the big question in front of the Federal Reserve folks, you know, to taper quicker, not to taper quicker, to raise Fed funds target rate quicker or not. So this is kind of an important one. I think they're all eyes are on it. And then the FOMC meeting literally is the following week. So keep that in mind. There might be a little bit of slowing down, slowing the roll here. And you could kind of see it here on a daily chart. I have just a daily December ES chart up here. And I've been tracking the daily ranges, right? 140 points. That was the Omicron Friday. 81 points, 103, 153, 87, 100. A lot of these are huge candles. 114, 80, 110. Today we're at 40, or yesterday we're at 40, right? Kind of back to normal. Things are slowing down a little bit. Market's kind of assimilating all this new information with Omicron and everything else that's going on, taking a breath. I expect a similar behavior today. As a matter of fact, we have an inside bar already generating today. We'll see if we get what kind of price action that results in. And a lot of times these inside bars gives you really good volume profile trading as well. We're still in bull mode in my opinion, although we have I'm going to put my crosshairs up here and I'm going to say, hey, the area of resistance starts around 47.05. We haven't had a candle close above this as far as I could tell, anytime ever. So we're virtually ever. So we're that's kind of I want to right here in this candle here is where we close. We opened up there, I should say, top of the body of the candle, 47.05 and a quarter. So again, we're kind of bumping up against that 1, 2, 3 times. We'll see if we penetrate that or not, or we kind of do something else. In any event, right now my bias is I'm slightly bullish, but I'm also a little neutral today, especially with respect to the stock index future. So before we go to the other markets, let's just take a look at the volume profile here. Point of control is kind of south. A lot of volume happened recently, right? When you look at the profile, and not a lot of volume at the point of control all night in all morning until we got to about 4:30, 4:20 in the morning pre-market. I got a pre-market. I guess it'd be really pre-market. Ankle Boo Boo, good morning. Cannonsburg is the birthplace of Bobby Vinton, Robert said. Now that's a factoid that is now it's going to be stuck in my brain. Buenos dias, Edwin. Morning, everybody. If I missed you, sorry about that. So this volume profile here, I'm in the micro E-mini S&P. We could pivot to the classic. I don't think it matters that much today, but this is basically all of the volume that's occurred since we opened last night in this particular market. And I'm going to change my settings here a little bit real quickly. I'm just going to right click, real easy to do with the NinjaTrader software. I'm going to go over to order flow volume profile, and I'm going to tighten things down. I have ticks per level set at 4. I'm going to change that to 2 today. Again, the smaller the average daily range, the more precise you could be on the histogram height, in my opinion. So we just did that. And you can see the histogram height bars just went down from 4 to 2. Right, and we have a double distribution kind of competing point of control up here. Let me get my crosshairs out to give you a good number. 90.5. We're just south of that right now. Point of control all the way down here at 85. So very easily this could switch. Oh, and it just did as we were talking. There we go. So the competing point of control is now the point of control, and maybe we'll toggle back and forth. Maybe this area of weakness will settle in right now. But I'm really interested in doing some sort of volume profile range trading today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw in a Fibonacci retracement as usual, and I'm going to go high to low. I'm going to pick this high. I'm going to pick this low. We're going to pick the whole field today. There's not an intra segment I'm interested in, so I want to pick the whole thing. Just going to go ahead and add that, and there we have it. So right now we're between the 23.6 and the 28. Let's look at the candles a little bit here. This is probably the dominant candle right here. This is when we opened, right? A 930 to 940 bar right here. This big green candle. It's kind of a dominant candle. With respect to all the other ones, we had a pretty big negative candle the next time, right? But not as dominant as the first one. So again, a little bit bullish right now. I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive today, maybe, and I'm gonna do a couple of units here right at the point of control, and then right at the 23.6, very close. We're in the micros right now, so it's we're not biting off more than we could chew. And then maybe we'll do a third unit even once I think about it. And remember yesterday, though, I do want to point out yesterday I wrote some notes down, and then Tuesday, December 9th. Yesterday, we were nearing profit target. Consider moving stop to break even. We didn't do that, and as a result, ended up with a negative trade instead of at least a break even. Remember, we missed our profit target by 2 ticks, and we had a whole discussion on that. But anyway, that merited a red comment in my notes today. FYI. Gerardo, good morning. Sada says 46.77 appears to be support today. Well, that would be the low. So we have a unit filled right now. It's kind of, I'm going to hide my chart trader here so I could just click trades in as I see fit. So from a stop point of view, you know, I don't know. So I'm looking at a lot of, you know, I don't want to be too aggressive on the stop point of view right now because I'm going to draw my rectangle here of contemporary, what I'm going to call short-term support. And I think it's right in here, right? So what I'm doing is I'm finding the lowest body of a candle that's already closed previous to the one that's in motion right now. And I'm just trying a rectangle, and I'm going to go quite a bit further below the lowest wick of whichever one I see right here, right? So that's kind of it's kind of idea number one. So from a stop point of view, I'm gonna get the bottom of the rectangle here, and we're gonna do it would be a buy stop. It would be a sell stop, right? Because we're long, and it would be 2 contracts because we're trying to get a second unit. So that's what it's looking at right now. From a profit target point of view, I want to kind of look at the volume profile and say, hey, what does it look like? You know, we have that competing point of control up here at 90. We toggled back down to that point of control, which I think, you know, even though we're doing micros, I think that's a good target because I really think we're going to be in this dark blue 1 standard deviation worth of trades for a while today. So there's the profit target on the first one. And this is what I am thinking right now. And again, I'm really thinking about the stop. Is it in the right spot? I think it might be okay for now. Let's kind of see how that kind of percolates. And, you know, whether you're doing this in classic or in a micro, the profile and it should look very similar. Rebecca's here. Rebecca Corpus, good morning. Thanks for being here. Good seeing you again. Always a pleasure. Thomas, can't remember if I said hey, but hey, thanks for coming. So what time is it? 10:11. So we have 9 more minutes for this candle to form right here. And that's okay. We're going to be patient. We're going to wait. I'm going to take a look at my notes. We'll talk about my notes while we're waiting as we approach our second unit. I'll keep the trading ladder visible so we can see when that happens, if it happens. Jobless claims hits lowest level in 52 years was a stat I saw this morning. And I'm not gonna, I believe it. 1969, that would be 184,000. I don't know if that would have been seasonally adjusted or not to make up for seasonal workers related to Christmas. But maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. I can't remember what I read. I don't think it has. So that might be part of it. But still, we're pre-pandemic. We have 220,000 is about pre-pandemic level for weekly jobless claims, which is interesting. So immediately when I saw that, I thought, well, this could be kind of a negative thing, actually, right? Because remember, the Fed has a dual mandate, right? Full employment and control inflation. Well, we might, sooner than later, we could be at the quote unquote full employment by definition, not in reality. A lot of people aren't looking for jobs. A lot of people are unemployed, but by definition, we might be getting close. So as a result, that might trigger even more hawkish behavior on a quicker on the part of the Fed, which is going to neutralize some of this huge equity appreciation, my opinion. Bruno, hi, how are you? Thank you for that kind remark. First target is, all right, so these two things are mirrored, right? Let me just freeze the trading ladder. 46.85.5, that brown highlight is where I'm long from. And then this yellow is where the market's trading at. Target is up here. Second unit I'm trying to pick up is down here. So right now we're in this about 1.5. Yeah, more or less. Terrence says trade for some sunshine. Going back to my notes. The only other thing today really is this retail wholesale inventories. I don't even know what the answer was, what the result was. We have the EIA, Energy Information Administration, weekly natural gas report. It's an inventory report. It's widely followed by energy traders. If you haven't seen the EIA.gov website yet, do it. It's awesome. A lot of great information on there, especially related to not only natural gas, but crude oil, everything from fracking to nuclear power and everything in between. I mean, you could literally spend days and days and weeks on this website learning new stuff. It's pretty interesting. And then Fed balance sheet is here at 4:30, which I'll probably be the only guy in this whole room that will read this later on today, but that's all right. Fed speak, I didn't see anything on the radar screen. Notable, off track, build back better. My guess is that's not going to happen before the Christmas recess. Debt limit seems to be on track of resolving itself as of this morning. Evergrande, that's not my caps. This is just my cut and paste. I was too lazy to uncap it. Evergrande officially looks like they defaulted. That's a Chinese development entity. And then tomorrow's CPI, it's this little factoid that I'll read it to you. After October's wild surge of 0.9%, consumer prices in November are expected to slow, but only slightly to 0.7% monthly increase. The core rate, which like the headline also exceeded high expectations at a 0.6% jump, the expected to rise 0.5. Retrospective annual rates are seen at 6.8 and 4.9, which would compare to 6.2 and 4.6 in October. So kind of a mixed bag there on that, but we'll see what happens. We will keep our eyes open and see what happens tomorrow. Then Fed Watch tool, I haven't updated that today. So Sashi asks about, okay, so you decide to add size to your trade when there's lower volatility. In this case, so what I'm trying to accomplish here in this case is, that's a great question, Sashi. I want to see today. I want to see activity in the dark blue. I want to see activity in the dark blue, and I want to see this whole volatility kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down. So I feel like today's going to be a normal distribution day. Not a lot of economic news out there that's going to kind of jar us. There's not a lot of things to worry about that hasn't already been worried about, and things are kind of slowing down after this really crazy Omicron volatility that we had. So I expect a normal distribution day with the bias somewhere to be right in the middle. And so, buying at the bottom of the value area, again, I think is reasonable. Selling at the top of the value area, again, I think is reasonable. I'm looking at the retracement levels too to kind of give me some validity. And then we have this old point of control, which was the new point of control, which is now the old point of control up here where our target is. So that's kind of my thought process right now. And, we'll see, if maybe we will break, maybe this won't be an inside day and we will break up or down. And that will kind of, either something good will happen or something bad will happen. But right now, this is what I suspect. Right. And since we're in micros, and I think we're going to have a small range today, it's easier to scale in. And I'm a fan of scaling in on micros. The quote board, if you take a look at it on the right hand side here, we've got, the Dow is down 64. It was down about 150 on the open. RTY, 17, NASI minus 72, ES down 12. And these are almost like unchanged numbers. It's almost unched. Given how crazy it's been lately. I mean, 11 handle move in the ES is not small by regular standards, but by the standards we've had in the last couple of weeks, it's very small. So again, I do, and we only have about 500,000 traded so far. Another 50,000 in the March, not a big deal. So we're slowing down a little bit. Will we get to 1 million today? Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. Going down the board though, just kind of looking, a dollar index a little bit stronger. The euro is weaker, which makes sense. The crude oil, 71.87. This is the light sweet crude, so hovering around that 70 to 72 area. Not surprised. Gold down 9, right? Now we're kind of drifting away from that magical 1800 number. Silver 21. So I think silver's kind of high still, but that's just me. 21.97. Treasury bonds, you know, the 30-year bond is the one I look at the most. Up half a handle, about 13 ticks. Remember, there's 32 ticks in a treasury bond point. So that's kind of, you know, that's not a big number. You know, when we get a handle or more in the bonds, either positive or negative, then my radar screen goes up. We're not there yet. Bitcoin's not doing that well. We're down 22.75 on Bitcoin. I don't know why I'm laughing, only because I don't understand what the heck it is. And then we have grains down here. We're gonna not talk about grains, but it does look like corn is up $4. Anyway, so that's kind of my thought today. It's like, just kind of stay within this value area, keep our stops in a relatively reasonable position, and see what happens. Terrence is coming. Since I was a senior in high school, I've lost track of our conversation. What were you referring to there? All right, so we're kissing up against it. All right, so there we have a unit that's successful. Now what, right? Now what? Well, let's take a look at the time. It's 9:20, right? We have a new candle. So let's take a look at the old candles, right? We have a higher high, a higher high, a higher high. We have a series of lower highs, although we're trying, if you count the opening bar, with some weird stuff in the middle. So right now, this is looking relatively bullish right now with these higher lows. But let's see what this candle brings us. Not opposed to going long or short today, especially with the volume profile the way it is. Bruno says, I have a question. I can't see the DX on my market analyzer, but try doing this. I just right click and then you could add an instrument and then click on search and then just type in DX up in your search box and see if you get it that way. That's how I did it. Right click, add instrument, search, and then add it. And if you're still not getting it, shoot out an email right here on the help tab. I know this sounds lame, but for me to say shoot out an email, but this works. This is very quick, very responsive. You get an answer back. The support folks at NinjaTrader are spectacular. Yeah, so Hans, I'm counting from the wicks. You know, I used to not be the wicks I think are important because they're driving, because there was activity there. So my area, you know, my long-term area here, now it's a longer-term area of support. I could move it if I wanted to be more aggressive to right below the point of control, but I'm going to leave my rectangle there right now. And these are let me get rid of my crosshair so we can see it better. So this is a doji. This 9:50 to 10 o'clock bar is a doji, right? The open and close price are nearly the same, or the same, nearly the same. That's a definition of doji. The wick on the top is long. The wick on the bottom is long. Total market happiness, in my opinion, because it's right there at the point of control. Buyers and sellers were happy, right? They ended up happy at that price. And then, you know, sure enough, we had a similar big wick on the bottom, but a bigger wick on top with a green candle, a continuation candle, and we're kind of creeping our way up, but we're not creeping our way up in any incredibly fast way, right? Where CCI is at 122, 124. Slope is a decent sized slope. So maybe I'm going to take my words back. You know, the slope is a pretty big slope, but we're just not seeing the volatility we've had in the last couple of days. Moving average cross is diverging, right? We're only four handles apart, which isn't that big, to be honest with you. But just visually, it looks like it's at least parallel, if not diverging a little bit. So let's see what happens here. And again, I am going to totally leave my order in here to buy a contract at 84. I'm going to squeeze, just keep an eye on that volume profile here. It's kind of squaring off. I'm not a fan of that, but you can't do anything about it. So Boo Boo likes the entry. My stop is an entry, and actually, this has got to be changed to a 1 lot. I hear you, and that would be, you know, let's try it. We're going to try Boo's entry. We'll do another one. So that's we're going to go with the audience today. I'm not sure I'm opposed to that, because again, I don't think we're going to break out too far on the downside, but I could be wrong. So now my stop, I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to put my stop. You know, we have yesterday's low right there, and as a reference. We have the bottom of the value area from yesterday. We could see what that is. Which is right here, 76, 7. You know, right below where we're at. And then we have the low of the day here as well. Now, these wicks are pretty big, so you got to give yourself some breathing room here if you are going to go ahead and say, hey, I want to put my stop right below the low of the day. Well, don't put it a tick below. You know, we've had that problem before. So yeah, I would probably split the difference between this and yesterday's low, and go ahead and throw something in right now. And we could adjust it as if this trade goes our way. This would be a sell stop, and this would be a 2 contract stop. Okay, this is a Boo Boo trade. Wait, it was Boo Boo. Are you the same as Ankle Boo Boo, or is there an Ankle Boo Boo and a Boo Boo? Why am I confused on this? No, there is an Ankle Boo Boo and a Boo Boo. Oh my goodness. No sound. Yeah, we have sound. 3 lions insight. It is conceivable that we're heading to 46.59. 46.59. Sure it is. But tell us why. Give us a reason. I mean, it's conceivable that we're heading to, you know, 42,000. I mean, it's conceivable we're heading to 55,000. But why? Give me a why, and we'll explore it. We're kind of right back to where we entered in here again. You know, I'm going to look at I'm not going to change my area, my rectangle here until this candle closes. And this candle has to close in my rectangle for me to move it down. That's my rule. So I don't know if it's a good rule or not, but that's my rule. I want to see the candle, the body of the candle, close in my rectangle before I adjust the rectangle downward. Everyone seems to be good hearing wise. Ben says, where's Yogi? Where is Yogi? In any event, we're going to have this candle's going to close here in 3 minutes. You know, YM is down 75 now. It's lost a little bit of ground, not that much. For the mini Dow Jones futures, it's a $5 tick in that particular market. It's a little bit thinner and lighter than the market we're trading right now, but very tradable as well. Best practices, limit orders, please, on your entries. That will be a little bit better. Boo Boo and Yogi. Okay, so 3 lions inside, 12, 7, top. Look at 9 a.m. on the 7th. I see. Well, I want to see what happens here. See if I get our second unit and see if we get velocity that shoot down to the lows today. Because now, right now, we're out of the value area, and that's one reason why I was a little hesitant to get a second unit there, because when we're out of the value area, my whole idea is a little bit out the window, right? It's like I want to trade in the value area, but we're going to have, price dislocation that happens anyway. Another minute here, we're going to adjust our rectangle. And then not only that, we're going to see some velocity here at 10:30. We're going to see some velocity here at 10:30 because it's the end of a half an hour period. Our average price is 82 right now. And there we go. We punched through it, but the candle's still not closed yet. Still not closed yet. This is torture. Let's speed things up. Let's fast forward this a little bit. Looks like we might make new lows. The question is our stop in a good spot, a part or a bad spot? Picnic baskets. Hang on a second. Oh, you're on a 3. You're on, okay. So, yeah, I feel we're going to have follow through on the 1030 bar, but we'll find out. This is a pretty big candle. It's like when you're watching the clock, it never, it's like watching water boil. It never gets there, right? There we go, 1030. All right, so now we officially could move the rectangle down to where we closed just now. And I expect a bit, at least a halfway up green bar here. We don't have a profit target in yet. We should probably consider that. And I would suggest for the first unit to be a little bit more conservative. Point of control might be a good place for that. Oops. Point of control might be a good place for that. And then we'll hang tight and see what happens here. Nas pushing downward. Yeah, NASDAQ down 105. Dow down 80. Ben says the death candle. Okay, so we are, I'm going to squeeze. 7 o'clock. Well, that's pretty far down. I hear you. I'm going to try to find the candle that we're talking about here. That's going to be even further down. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Down around here, I do. But I think that would be, I'd be surprised. It's very possible though. Very, 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 very possible, but I would be surprised. We'll see it. We'll see if we get a continuation candle on the downside, which probably get us stopped out, but maybe not. Or if we see this thing settle down a little bit. Boo Boo's profit target is just below the open. Buys all the dips.com, 46.76. Okay, so we're out. We're out of that. As we have a pretty decent sized continuation candle right now from this candle here. So in retrospect, was it better to get that second unit? No. But respect the value area. I think that's going to be my red comment for tomorrow. Respect the value area. We start trading quickly out of the value area, then this is what's going to happen to us. I'm going to cancel this sell order right now. So that was a good lesson. I'm going to move my Fibonacci line down. And then we'll see what happens with the fate of this red candle as we look for another entry, if there is one. It is 10:32. We have 7 more minutes before we get another candle going. So that's okay. I mean, so here's what I like about, Boo Boo's idea. What I liked about it was we're in the micro, right? And you could scale into micros a little bit easier, in my opinion, relative risk aside. Alternatively, again, I really think we need to respect the value area, and we didn't, and we know better. Yeah, it was great if we were short, for sure, for sure. Okay, let's wait. Let's see what happens with this candle right now. Let's see if we settle down or not. Now keep in mind, we've had this pretty big rally. You know, the 6th, the 7th. You know, these are a lot of buyers coming in, so there's going to be some selling for sure. There's going to be some selling for sure. Everybody's not just buying and holding, right? Yeah, Roberts makes the comment, the March expiration prices are about 6 points different. You can see it right here in the MES, right? So I have the December 2021 contract up. We're trading at, 78 3/4. And then the March contract right below it, 71 even, give or take. So it's about 7.5 handle difference between pricing on the December and the March. These will converge eventually when we get to last trading day, but we're a little bit far from that. And I expect we're going to be probably trading the March 2022 contract next Thursday. And my guess is that's when all of the volume is going to be there. There's official rollover dates and all that stuff. But I think what I like to do is like to focus on volume. The more volume, the tighter the bid-ask spread. So I like to keep it simple that way. That's why I have both the contract months up there. Michael says, how do you write on the charts? Well, all right, see this pencil here? There's a drawing tool. You click on that and you go to text and then you say drawing tool. So that's how you do it. And then, if you double click on it, you could change the font and the color and all of that, all that stuff once you double click on it. So hopefully that helps. Continuation candle down on here. Not interested in buying just yet, if at all. This 23.6% is right aligned with the bottom of the value area, which is where some traders might say, hey, I want to sell here. If we get up to here, I want to go short here. Totally legitimate strategy. These points of interest, the transition between value and prices below and value and prices above, are legitimate. I think they're very legitimate. So the idea would be something like this, waiting for a drive back up around this area. Again, it's not exact science, but I like to be a tick below it, waiting for a pull up instead of a pull back. I guess it would be a pull up. And then, deciding on, stop losses and stuff like that. And my stop loss in this case would be something like this on this particular trade today. If we even get here, we might not even get here in the time we have together. It's 10:37. We got 3 more minutes before the next candle. Irish slang, in the muck. Yeah, I just think, Carlos, I seem to always be in the muck. We are always in the muck. That's a great comment. When you roll over your contract on your charts, then you're going to get that continuation. So you don't have to do anything special with the NinjaTrader software. The Russell's a little thinner. Let's take a peek. I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to RTY. And here's the thing with the Russell. I'm going to freeze it. Look at the bid-ask spread. It's 2 ticks instead of 1. The bids and offers are in the single digits. The volume's not, it's decent. It's 90,000 so far. And I don't want to scare anybody away from it, but, and it does march to a different drummer. Remember, this is a small cap stock. It's probably more sensitive to certain factors than others, right? These companies have less cash. They're going to probably rely on the debt markets more. They're probably more sensitive to international trade. So there's some real differences in behavior, price behavior between the two. So my only comment is, it's tradable for sure. Just keep in mind it's a thinner market, and it definitely is not 100% correlated with the other markets that we're looking at. All right, let's see what's happening. We have a continuation candle on the downside. We got 1 more minute for this candle is exhausted or complete, depending on your point of view. I'm going to use the word complete. Fibonacci is kind of out the window now. We're making new lows, so I'm going to have to adjust that. And there we go. We just had that little flush down to make new lows. 10:39. We'll have another, 30 seconds or so before this thing is over, and then we can look at the next candle. Griffin says support at the 72 area on a daily. We're getting there. We're getting there. Here's my daily. 72 area. It would be right where we're at on a daily. Let me slow it up a little bit. I have no mouse control around this area here. 23.6 is pretty far away though, so we'll see. All right, new candle is formed. Rectangle is adjusted to the bottom of the closed candle. This new one is still moving around, not ready for prime time yet. Let's go ahead and take a peek at my fib line and move that down a little bit. Doesn't do that much to my sell order. Other than, you could tweak the sell order right now, but we're still right at the bottom of the value area here. So I kind of like that. And it's also kind of corresponds with the actual 23.6%. Now, this is an aggressive sell order, I think. I think it's an aggressive one because, we have the potential to generate these green candles all day today. Little smaller volume, although 617,000 isn't as small as I thought it was going to be today. So that's something. But then again, on these downward days, you do get more volume, which is weird, but it's true. When you have, at least in my experience, when you have down days, you tend to have more volume. And I don't know if it's just because folks are just trying to, buy the dips or not, but that's a phenomenon. Let's see if this is a good trade idea or not. Irish slang. So Carlos, are you Irish? Weens? I don't know what that would be. It could be German. I don't know. Griffin says my line of more like 74, I guess, support before the big sell-off. Helped pretty good yesterday. Yeah. Jim did not trade his plan. All right, we're driving toward the 23.6% or the bottom of the value area right now. We'll see if we there we go. All right, so now we're in it again, right? But now we're short, and we're using the value area as an area of interest. We're using the top of that as the area of interest, and we'll see what happens right now. So we touched it, we kind of drove back down. And, from a target point of view, I'm going to look at a couple different things here. From a target point of view, is this 74 or 72 area that Griffin pointed out a good area? Is yesterday's low, which is this red dotted line, a good area? And so I think a lot of it has to do with how aggressive you want to be or how conservative you want to be. I would like to see a higher low. And so I would like to be down here in this actual area right here. And I'm going to go ahead and write, in my rectangle. I want to see another drive back down to my rectangle, although I want to end up with a higher low. And this is just kind of me trying to envision something right now. From a stop management point of view, now we have a couple of different options. One, we could move the stop down to the 38%, which is the point of control, Or we can say, hey, I want to do a second unit here. I want to add a second unit here. And then take a look at where I want to do with my step if I have a second unit. And so I'm going to do that right now. Try to get a second unit at the point of control. I'm going to kind of adjust this point, this stop above the 61.8. I'm going to change it to a 2-lot. And I'm just going to kind of put my hands in my pocket and see what happens. And I also want to adjust 4706, my fib line, so it's not in our way. Griffin wants to go long at 76. Well, that's where our target is. You know, and that's not, and that's a strategy too. Let's talk about that. So a strategy would be like, hey, I want to get my profit target down here at 76. Well, I'm 75. I'm, you know, one tick away. If I were to make that a 2 contract, then I would basically be accumulating a long position, right? I would liquidate my short position and I would accumulate the long position, and it would look like something like this. And that would be a strategy, right? Where the risk, now, of course, I have to put a stop loss somewhere, right? Because if I'm long one at the bottom here, I would have to put a stop loss down here. And this would be, you know, again, I don't know, it's kind of tough doing that when you don't have a lot of data to go with, but, you know, I'm going to put one in anyway, right? And it'll only be 1 contract so far, unless we get our second unit here at the point of control. We get our second unit here, then everything's got to change a little bit. So let's see if we can get it. It'll be fun. We're having fun right now. Griffin says he is told he is leaving at 11 to get tacos. Is why I didn't take the train. So the taco, so Griffin, the tacos have more upside than the trade? Is that what you're saying? Oh, all right. So Carlos is born in Cuba, but raised in Miami. Love Miami, by the way. And probably makes me an anti-communist Cuban American. LOL. You know, you got me in Miami, right? Prime 112 Steakhouse, best one I've been to, and I've been to a lot of them in the world. FYI. And Prime Italia across the street, and I'm Italian, equally as good. So you got something there in South Beach there. Griffin said, I'd have taken it off the bounce at 74. How much do tacos cost, Griffin? You probably could have paid for your taco. Ben says, that's the taco no trade rule in effect. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We are approaching 10:50. We have 4 more minutes. And let's see if anything happens. I guess, you know, it's kind of velocity slowing down. Our CCI is kind of pointing its way back up, but still minus 104 on the commodity channel index oscillator at the bottom. Moving average crossed under, except the separation between the two, I think, is pretty negligible. Let's see. Just adjust this upwards so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we did cross under, but the difference is only a tick, right? It's 84.25 versus 83.25. So it's don't let the look of it deceive you. It's very, very, very close. Which will give favor, actually, I think, if I'm thinking correctly, to the downside, but we'll see. Griffin says it's going to be a $500 taco. Samuel, no. Samuel asks, do you use the buy-sell sides of the dome to help you with the decision up or down? And the buy sides of the dome, so this is these are orders that are sent to the exchange, right? 125 contracts are resting at the exchange at 83.5 as an example. These are buys, these are sells. And the way I view this, to be honest with you, is it moves too fast for me to kind of, in a market like this, where there's, you know, 655,000 contracts traded already, and it's hundreds deep, in my mind, it's too, it moves too fast. It's too much information for me to say, the buy side is heavily weighted, therefore I want to get long. I'm not good at that. So I don't know how to read that, to be honest with you. So I don't use that. And these limit orders, don't forget, are sent and they're canceled and replaced and they're added to. You don't see market orders. You don't see stops on here, stop market orders. And as a result, it kind of dilutes the whole idea of supply and demand, just kind of looking at it on a trading ladder. So, and again, maybe you are good enough to do it. I am not. So, and I know some folks love it. As a matter of fact, you can get a trading ladder with just one tick of data, just the best bid and the best offer, and your data fees are less, as an example. And that's what some people prefer. But anyway, thanks for that question. That was a good question. Hans is asking about risk-reward ratio, which I don't understand. And here's why. I want to look at the market structure, and I want to say, hey, what's the likelihood of a price trading at a certain price? And let's just kind of, on the upside, let's kind of make my rectangle, right? I'm going to draw my area of resistance right here. And what I'm saying is, this is an area of resistance, and I want to give some breathing room to my stop, in conjunction with the 61.8 and everything else. And I want to give some breathing room to my stop because I think this is, this area of resistance is going to hold. I have my area of support down below. And so I kind of look at that as a more important measure of risk reward than just kind of a random, hey, I want to make 8 ticks and I'm going to risk 4 ticks. I think when you kind of randomly apply that rule to some random market structure, then it doesn't make sense to me. And that's just kind of my opinion and how I think about it. Carlos says the enormous limitations of our prefrontal cortex. I think next week I'm doing a psychology of trading class, and I've been reading every Mark Douglas book there is, and I got some good. It's going to be fun. We're going to do it again next week. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the battle here, right? I see we didn't get our second unit. Now I'm upset. Now I just want to go ahead and sell one to get a second unit. Well, that doesn't make any sense, but I want to, right? It's in my head. It's like I wanted to get 2 units. I wanted to be short 2. We missed it by how much? We missed it by a little bit. Just this much, as Get Smart would say. 86, 86.25. The high of the previous candle is 1 point or 4 ticks away. And what we didn't do is we didn't chase it, right? We didn't chase it, run it down, and try to chase it, which is I think a good practice. And that's that. But psychologically, you're right, Carlos. Or was it Carlos or was it Sam? Carlos. Psychologically, I wanted to do it, right? I wanted to do it, and I didn't. My hands are folded up on my chest right now. And I'm looking at the question marks come in. You need to read the book, The Hour Between the Dog and the Wolf. I have not read that. Is the book called The Hour Between the Dog and the Wolf? I'm going to write it down, though. Any recommendation is a good recommendation. So I appreciate that. The Dog and the Wolf. All right, what time is it right now? We're going to stick around for another candle. I'm not leaving at 11. So we're going to stick around for a couple more minutes. No, CV, I was doing some other demonstrations earlier this morning. That's why you see this. It was a carryover position. That's why my realized P&L is different than what we just did here this morning. And you could easily see your executions on NinjaTrader. And this is our executions for the session. And I had that ultra bond position that I closed. that I was literally doing a PowerPoint for an upcoming Treasury bond interest rate futures event, and I was getting some screenshots for the US 30-year Ultra bond, and that's why that trade is in there right there. So apologize for that. I should have just reset everything, but I didn't. And here's their only position. And but that's a great question. That's a good observation. But yeah, so that was me messing around. Hopefully that maybe by end of January or February, that maybe before that even, the Treasury bond, we'll talk about that. And that's kind of where I started everything, right? I started in the US Treasury bond market back in time, a long time, by the way. I'm not going to say how long it's been, but it's been a long time. We're still just teasing us on the second unit, but we're going to be patient. I still think it's a valid trade idea. I'm just going to kind of, right at this point of control. I think we're going to trade around the point of control again. This is really kind of if you ignore this upper kind of node of volume here, this is a really nice normal distribution right now. But we do have a little bit of a trend down. Just kind of look at your glance with your eyeballs. Although we don't have a really good, solid, consecutive lower lows. We had this higher low, this higher low. But if you go from this high, lower high, lower high, I know I'm jumping, lower high, lower high, lower high, this is relatively negative, right? So that's why I don't mind having our profit target down here. And again, we only have one contract on. If we do get the second contract, then we got to adjust our targets and stops and all that stuff. Ankle Boo Boo, who are you referring to, by the way? Is my camera on? No one can see me, right? I don't think I have a camera on. Griffin says audible LOL. Just doesn't want to do it. Griffin says, speaking of books, I have 10 credits on Audible I need to use before the next month. Any great suggestions? Yeah, it depends. I mean, I'm trying to remember the name of this. This book. This is not a trading book, by the way, but I'm going to recommend it anyway. Griffin, I'm going to recommend this book to you right here. Running with Sherman. The Donkey with the Heart of a Hero. This is a fantastic, fun, you won't believe it. It's true too, true story. Same guy who wrote Born to Run. Running with Sherman. That's my recommendation. All right, we got our second unit finally. Our average price is 84.25. We have our targets down here. We have a 2-lot target. This sell stop's unnecessary right now, so I'm going to cancel it. We got 4 more minutes before the next candle, and a couple things just to note here. One, there'll be a certain point when we want to tighten our stop. 2, if we get that lucky, and then 2, you could also bifurcate your profit targets, right? You could bifurcate your profit targets, and that's not actually a bad strategy sometimes. And what it would look like is this, right? So let's just make this first profit target 1. And we got a 2-unit trade going on right now, right? So maybe we want to get one of the units here at the bottom of the value area, as an example. So I just kind of split up my profit targets in 2 different areas, and then after we get the first unit, I'd probably move my stop down to where our average entry is at 84.25, and then that way we'll see if we can get drive back down to the lows of the day, and go from there. CV says, love Born to Run, great book. You'll love Running with Sherman too. It's the craziest story. It's a true story, and it couldn't get more bizarre. But it's awesome, a lot of fun. Caleb is talking about endurance, and then Ernest Shackleton's Expedition in Antarctica. Carlos is thrown in Fooled by Randomness, great book. The Black Swan, Deep Work, and Atomic Habits. And we got a new one here, Enhanced Trader Performance by Brett Steinberger. Okay, that's a good one. So there you go, Griffin. You have a whole bunch of options now. You're good to go. By the way, it's better to read than to listen. When I say that, I've been reading that your brain processes information differently when you read, when you write, and when you listen. And reading helps with retention better. Writing helps with retention the most. And listening helps with retention the littlest. And you could just ask Mrs. Kaggs if that's true. The Mental Game of Trading, Jared Tender. I'm gonna write that one down. Jared Tendler. All right, we're going to wrap it up in a little while here. It is almost 11. We're going to wait for the next bar to form. I do want to remind everybody, trading futures, options on futures involves substantial risk of loss, not suitable for all traders and investors. Oftentimes in futures trading, you have a high combination of leverage and volatility. And although that can be an equation for opportunity, it's also an equation for risk. So be careful, risk capital only. Be in a good spot. Don't be too overly aggressive. Ankle Boo Boo, you're very kind. Thank you for that. So let's talk about what to do now. We have a new candle here. We could do a few things, a few different things. And one of them includes a little bit of stop management here. We're a little high, I think, on the stop management, giving our lower lows, lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So I'm inclined to move this back down into the value area right at the top there for now. Alternatively, another thing to consider is, since this is a micro, if you're in this for the long run, you could add a unit right at the point of control, sell another one, and then try to get a third unit going as well. But I'm going to leave it like this. We will leave it like this. I'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. And talk about it at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, we're doing a futures trading 101 event. Carlos, if you're a fan of Born to Run, you're going to love this book. We'll do a futures trading 101 event in an hour. I know a lot of you folks probably don't need that, but if you do, it'd be great. Thumbs up button. Thank you for hitting that. I really, really, really appreciate that. And now that I know we have a boo-boo and an ankle boo-boo, we got something going here. So you guys are welcome. Anytime, keep coming back. Have a great weekend. If I don't see you, this is Thursday. We're going to be at it again next week. And I'm going to leave you with this. Be safe out there and be good to each other. Thanks for coming.